Well, I thought we would get the dev talk and then there would be a little bit of a break, but it seems like we are not stopping, because the next day after the news, stuff just started dropping on PBE. With the new badge not only giving us the Xin Zhao ASU, which means we also got all of his skins, but we also got a wave of new skins which, once again, might surprise you. All of that is something we will check out today, but after that we also got Xin Zhao's new voice lines, and those also have quite a few surprises. For example...
You shame your father's crown!
Yeah, there's quite a lot of lore to unpack there, but that is a video for another day. And so now, let's go through all the new skins that are coming for the Act 1 of Season 3. And let's talk about why people are freaking out. It has to do with the feedback that Riot got for the previous passes. So far, the rewards were barely okay. The first one had some skins that got cancelled, and the second pass got slight improvements. That one also got some variety, which was fine. But overall, everyone agreed that the quality of the passes definitely could have been better. And Riot agreed. In fact, if you go to the previous dev talk, they mentioned they will act on the quality, but the Season 2 passes will not reflect it just yet. And so now, Season 3 arrived, which means the quality should be higher. And so this time, there is not a single filler skin. So first of all, there is Arcana Lulu. Yes, your eyes do not deceive you. This is a proper 1350 RP skin on the Battle Pass. Are you watching, Ivern? In fact, this is an awesome one. First of all, I don't remember if the previous Arcana skins also had the recall card in them, so I just wanna say that Lulu's recall is really good. And her combat is even better. Here you can see that Pixie was turned into Shaco, and the same gesture also shows on her staff. Her auto attacks are these awesome sharp chains. Her Q turns the missile into the Arcana Fire, with her polymorph turning enemies into bird gestures. I don't know, this one does look cool. But it's a shame she's not polymorphing the enemies into cards or something. But the underappreciated part of this spell is the VFX on the transformations. That little cloud looks good. And similarly, if you use her W for speed, you get a fiery aura to support the blazing speed. Then the shield is a good shield with some Arcana runes, with her ultimate popping up enemies with pillars, with the entire aura once again featuring a Jester Mask. So overall, literally every single living soul agreed, this is a good skin. All the while, technically, it has the same value as a Arcana Alistar. Now that's an incredible quality skin. Shaylu can't hurt you. Why so serious? Shaco Lulu! Okay, maybe people focus on the fact that she looks like Shaco a bit too much. But indeed, this might be the best skin on a path yet. And that is only followed by Arcana Jhin, with Arcana Jhin being crippled by one thing. He has too many awesome skins already. But rest assured that this one is also on the Battle Pass. Here the recall also turns him into a cool card. It just looks pretty. After which we dive right into the Arcana colors. I have to say, it is interesting to see that here Jhin kinda looks armored. I mean, he usually is a little bit by default, but here with the helm he almost looks like a knight. And thankfully, the colors of his shots are quite unique. They are almost blood red, which would make you think Blood Moon, but they also spin in a little bit of orange. With his Q also being a magical grenade, which would be one of the bullet casings. Again, it is a shame he didn't throw out a card, but a Twisted Fate would like to have a word about that. His W has these crisp magic lines, and his trap starts as the little Arcana crystal, which blows up into a flower. And his ultimate, unless I'm crazy, has a really cool new violin theme. And staying in line with putting faces on ultimates, you can see that Jhin's ultimate also has his face. So at least you get to see the face of your killer as you're running away. So overall, this is a great skin, and did I mention, it is on a Battle Pass! But we are not done yet, because outside of these two, there is also the Prestige skin. Which means that this skin thematically should be tied to the season. And this time it just happens to be Visions of the Fallen Jarvan. So let's talk about that one. By now we know that the next season should be themed around the Dark Enclave, which means some kind of a Darkin story is happening. Now, since the new skin line is called Visions of the Fallen, it should be pretty obvious that these are visions of a timeline where the Darkin conquered the world, which means the aspect of Twilight never stopped them. Alternatively, this could be a vision of the future where the Darkin return and they corrupt everything in the modern world. If that is the case, it might be hinting that the Dark Enclave will try to make the Darkin return. Either way, does this mean that this skin line is canon? Well, partially, because for example, Zillion had these visions before. His character is all about looking for timelines where humanity was able to defeat the Void. So far, he has been unsuccessful. But this would mean that there is a really big chance that in at least one of those timelines, Zillion saw that. And that apparently also has its own skin bio, so let's have a look at that one. Once we were gods, now lost eternally in the disembodied darkness of our imprisonment. We dream of 1,000 inevitable bloody returns, and all mankind begging for our divine mercy once more. In an age lost to legend, this world belonged to the Darkin, and the Darkin intend to take it back. So unfortunately, this bio didn't tell us if this is a vision of what's to come or what could have happened. Either way, it's not real. I hope. And so let's have a look at the first Darkin skin, which is Jarvan. First of all, let's talk about the art. I don't think I have to say it, but it looks good. But more importantly, I love how this shows us what it would look like if the Demacian Petricide was overtaken by a Darkin. Also, we are in the throne room of Demacia, meaning this is what it would look like if Jarvan picked up a Darkin weapon in Demacia. He would run his own kingdom to the ground. And so, this is a great splash art, which is not that important because it doesn't really have an impact on gameplay. And so what does the skin look like in the game? Yeah, we need to talk about that one. You see, this might be a hot take, but I like this skin a lot. If I was given Jarvan, this would most likely be the skin I would choose. But the first issue that immediately pops up are the colors. I love the color scheme in the splash art. I love the white Petricide with the golden details, with the black and red corrupted flesh beneath it. And so on the other hand, in-game, you have your standard fleshy Darkin. It is not horrible, but it is so tame compared to the splash art. And so honestly, Riot, this is my feedback. Don't just make the textures slightly more pale. Instead, just try to match the splash art as much as possible. You need the dark skin underneath, with the red details in all the cracks, that's not even present on the model. And you need the pale Petricide, because that is such a cool reference. But all of that is just issue number 1, because that one can be fixed. Issue number 2 is that Jarvan is old. And I'm not talking about his father, I mean that the model is ancient. Just look at those auto-attack animations. If you compare that to his recall, the recall is gorgeous. Also, he's crushing the crown of Demacia because his kingdom is over. Anyway, what's really cool about this model, however, is that he actually has physics-based cape. They definitely went for this upgrade because without it, that would feel really old. And I have to say, it is obvious that Riot was aware just how bad the base Jarvan rig is, because they went crazy on the spell effects to cover it up. So, his normal Q, which is just about the most boring poke ability in the game, actually summons a vortex of blood. And it looks awesome. The shield also has a stunningly good effect. It has the corrupted flesh of the Darkin on the bottom side, with the top transitioning into Jarvan's classic shield. Thematically, this is perfect. Then, when his E drops down the spear, because it is a Darkin weapon, of course you can just see it looking around. And finally, his ultimate summons a fleshy maw, and that one looks badass. So overall, great theme, great idea, amazing spell effects. But man, Jarvan really needs an update too, because his old animations are dragging this down so much. I'd also improve the colors, but I might be the only one on this, you would need more feedback. The interesting thing is though that this skin also has a blue chroma. We're not exactly sure how to get it. It could be a premium version of the paid pass, or maybe it could be tied to worlds, but it doesn't actually look half as bad. Even the spells change, which is really cool. But that is kinda all we have on that skin. So now, let's move away from the Battle Pass, because yes, Jarvan, once again, was on the pass. Which means it's time to have a look at the skins that are just paid. Starting with Visions of the Fallen Garen. Out of all the Darkin skins, this one might be the worst. Look, it is not actually bad. It's just that this one is the most safe. It's just bloody Garen with Aatrox's sword. And unfortunately, I'm not exactly sure what Riot could have done with this one. Garen already has a big sword, so you give him a Darkin sword. Maybe there were more creative champions to pick from, but again, thematically, it makes sense. Now, what we also have to mention is that Legends of Runeterra also did a similar thing. They also gave their champions Darkin skins. And some of those were godly, especially Renekton or Zoe. So people were kinda expecting those designs. But in League, Riot might have a hard time of turning something like that into a skin. Because League is targeting a much bigger international audience. Which means they do have to try and hide blood and bones, because in some regions it could be censored. Maybe that's why they didn't went for the fully gory designs. So yes, I would like to see a more grotesque looking Garen, because the Darkin are all about twisting your bodies. And so, he looks okay. So are his spells saving him? So first of all, in the recall we can see that he is fighting on a Demacian field. And he's fighting his own kingdom. And even in the splash art you can see that he is fighting Demacians. Also, that damn smile is very creepy. Now, Garen's base animations are surprisingly fine, but that's because I believe technically he is newer than all the other skins. But I do have to say, the Q is slightly underwhelming, especially compared to Jarvan's. The shield is good though. And when he is empowered, you can even see the Darkin eye underneath him. And similarly, his E is also cool. It is a bloody spin. But finally, his ultimate drops a PNG on you. Hey, I won't judge this, because that's how it has been with all of his skins. It's just that in the base version, for example, the holy sword is just a glowing particle, so it doesn't look like a flat image. But when it is a detailed sword, it is kinda hard not to notice. But thankfully, it does look awesome, and the eye is also animated as it falls down. Though I would like to see a cooler effect when the sword fades away. Because there are some cool particles, but I would like to see a stylized dissolve instead of just a fade out. And yes, because this is a paid skin, there are also chromas. In fact, there are 8 of them. And 5 of them are the same. Yeah, League has had this issue with chromas a lot throughout the last 2 years, where some champions get chromas that are just not vibrant, which means that they are not different from each other. And so I do have to say, I can't imagine anyone buying one of the chromas when you have the base skin. But that is it for Garen, so now let's move on to the last Darkin skin we have, which is Tryndamere. Now this is an interesting one, because looking at the splash art, this looks awesome. We have Tryndamere with a Darkin weapon, which is very thematic, since his undying rage technically comes from Aatrox. So this skin is basically Tryndamere giving in to the Darkin side. Now in the art, it seems like we are still in Demacia, which wouldn't be too impossible since the Freljordians have skirmishes in the south. Unless this is supposed to be the Frostguard Citadel. But in his recall you can see that he's dodging Avaros and arrows, I guess, unless it is also Demacian. After which he picks up Ash's bow and destroys it. Which is quite a power move, since this is a legendary True Ice weapon. And so, even that animation looks great. But then Tryndamere starts attacking, and we remember it is Tryndamere. Again, I have to say, I love the theme, I love these skins. But man, this roster of champions has the oldest animations we could get. The only thing that could be worse would be Darkin Zillion. But also, this skin also has another slight issue. It's the fact that Tryndamere already has a lot of dark skins, including something like Demon Blade. And I can tell you, most people are still probably gonna play with that one, but on the other hand, the Darkin skin does also have a redeeming quality. There is one thing that saves it all. Because there is his passive, which does have some bloody sound effects, though the passive itself doesn't really have a lot of visual effects. After which his W summons a dark wave around him. There is also the Darkin Eye above it. But more importantly, That's actually a Darkin chicken. That's right, that is a chicken that was corrupted by the Darkin. What's even more awesome, that's not the first time this happened in the lore. And so if you play with this skin, play it for the chicken. Anyway, the spin, in my opinion, is maybe slightly better than Garen's spin. And the ultimate turns him gold. Why gold? I don't know. Is it actually done for clarity because all his other skins do that? Or is it because if you turn him red, he's already kinda red? So yeah, it's safe to say that I was expecting slightly more from the ultimate. Because if the ultimate had a cool effect, then this skin would be really good. Now it's okay. And well, with that said, I have to say, at least the chromas are way better. Because these actually change colors. I did not expect that. Or at least most of them do. And this brings us to the last skin we got, which is a variety skin. Now, of course, variety skins so far have been a massive success, and so once again, this is a good one. And it is Elderwood Alistar. Now look, Riot had to say sorry for cancelling his previous skin, and sorry they said. Because this might legitimately be one of Alistar's best skins. Somehow, even though he has old animations, it doesn't matter. Because his Q smashes the ground with this awesome earthy effect, and it makes leaves fly up to sell the effect. This Q alone is amazing. Next, you would think that W wouldn't really be special, but it does have this emerald glow as well as a trail of grass behind him. Again, this is quite creative. And his E has this earthy pulsing, which is fine. There is also a rune that pops up, that's also fine. Though I would say that the hit on the stun would probably need more VFX. You're not really selling the stun that you would get, especially if you're supposed to be throwing rocks or something in this theme. And finally, his ultimate is this awesome barrier, which ties everything together. And so overall, this looks smooth. This is just a clean skin and I have nothing bad to say besides some nitpicks. Best of all of his chroma skins are different. Looking at that lineup, that's what you wanna see. And so, a massive W for Alistar. And that is exactly what he needed. But that is it for his skin, so now there is one last thing we have to talk about, and that is Xin Zhao's ASU. We've already seen the teasers that Raj showed us before, but Skinspotlights also uploaded the video where he just showed us all of the new skins. Or at least the updated skins that he already had. And oh boy, those are good! The animations alone are quite polished. I mean, the Demacian challenge actually looks Demacian. His spear has a really cool glow with his Q now. His W is quite the anime move. His dash is slightly underwhelming, but that could be because it is a low impact ability. But his ultimate definitely feels like an ultimate move now. Now, when it comes to the skins, it was mentioned that Commando is gonna be slightly more expensive because it is getting upgraded. And yes, you can see that it is no longer a chroma skin. After which Imperial Xin Zhao also got an upgrade, and yes, you can see it is now a traditional Chinese warrior. Of course, Viscero, the lore skin, is still really good. And all the other skins are pretty much the same as they were before, just a lot higher quality. I would say though, Dragon Slayer might still be his best skin. But that is it. That's also it for Xin Zhao's update. And so looking back at this PBE drop, this is quite a good one. Outside of the Darkin heavily suffering from bad animations, because they are old, Alistar witnessed a miracle, and the Battle Pass is actually getting good skins. If Riot doesn't see an increase in the Battle Pass purchases now, I will be surprised. Because this Lulu could carry the pass on her own. And the cool thing is, that skin is one of the early rewards you get in the pass. So now everyone can have their own Pocket Shaco.